And expect some technical difficulties because it's my first time doing this. I have no idea really what I'm doing with streaming, but I thought I'd show you guys a little bit of my hobby because this is what I do pretty regularly. And also, I'll start off with a little bit of a tour of my place. So let me just close the window here so you can get the full idea with the LED setup. But yeah, this is some of my collection that I've been putting out for a little while and I've been collecting over the years. And I just kind of have a room to put it all in now, which is kind of nice with my current setup. It's a little bit awkward with like the low ceilings and everything, but I think, I've tried to design it in a way that is fitting. And yeah, yeah, it's not bad. I've got this whole little space up to myself, and the rest of the family usually hangs out downstairs. So I've got a lot of space to put things, and it's given me the freedom to just kind of continue collecting. So there's some of my cooler stuff there. I have a lot of Game Boys. They're kind of what I'm mostly fascinated in. I've got some advances along the side there. I'll just quickly show you. Again, it's not supposed to be a tour. It's supposed to be showing you guys fixing things, but I just want to give you an idea of why I'm so passionate about this stuff. But these are all special editions. That's the Giants. That's a Game Boy. Sorry, let me get a little closer. This one was a baseball team here in Japan. Then there was the Mario and Luigi special edition advance as well. That was from a chain of stores called, I think that was from Justco. I could be wrong though. Anyway, some Pokemon, Hello Kitty, yeah, King of Fighters, Pokemon, all kinds of stuff. So that's the first half of my little upstairs area. And then over here, again, it's not really quite set up yet, but just got a few more knickknacks here and there. Virtual Boy. And this I actually made a video on not too long ago. The Super Mario Land toy. So I have it on display for now, but when I have some people over, I'll break it out and, give it a whirl. Anyway, to the office, the main event. This is where all the magic happens, baby. Check it out. So, yeah, this is, for the most part, the haul of Game Boys that I got. Let me turn the music off here. Some advances, some colors, some SPs. Again, some more Game Boy Colors over there. I have a long list of projects that I'm working on in this room right now. I've done some physical mods too, like the Game Boy Advance SP Super Famicom version here. This is actually a 101, and they didn't make those in Japan, so I brought this from Canada. Anyway, there's a GameCube that I'm just finishing up with a region, what do you call it? Like I'm installing a Switch to essentially make it play both North American and Japanese games. And just to give you an idea, I picked this up a week ago, and it was 1,000 yen, so that's equivalent to like $7 or $8 US. So you can still find these for cheap. And I do a lot of digging around at recycle shops, so that's really the only place you're going to find these things. Forgive me. I guess I'll bring you with me. Again, I'm streaming this on my phone. This is my first time streaming, so I might get like a webcam type thing set up eventually. But yeah, there's a couple more Game Boys. I actually just shot the thumbnail for this stream in this room. And yeah, I've still got the Game Boys sitting here. So there we go. For your viewing pleasure. I don't have a lot of time today, but I figured I would at least try and stream some of these repairs. I'm gonna see if this works. I'm gonna try to attach it here. Technical difficulties, as this is my first time doing this. Okay, so there's some of my tools here. I also have a soldering iron, solder sucker, flux. I got all the stuff that I need for soldering and things like that. Just give me 1 second. Sorry for the dead air. I'm gonna see how this looks for you guys. Okay, that's fair. I can see. Got my hands. Jazz hands. Okay, cool. So as long as I stay in this frame, it should be viewable. Okay, any suggestions on what I should start with first? I've got a Game Boy Color. I've got several Game Boy Colors. The one I'm probably most interested in at the moment is actually the Game Boy Color, Midnight Blue Special Edition, because this is a Toys R Us exclusive. You don't see it very often. So maybe I'll start with that, and we can move on to some of these other Game Boys in a minute. So, first thing I usually do, go into my bag of tricks here. I have an extremely messy drawer full of various tools and things to use to test these. Yeah, check it out. Game Boy Color, put some batteries in. Now I know these batteries work, so if it's not turning on, it's not the fault of the batteries. What I find usually happens with these is the power switch over time just kind of gets crap built up into it, and that's usually the issue. So I know it maybe looks a little rough, but if you just kind of turn on off the power switch like this, see, eventually it'll light up. It doesn't always happen, but speaker's no good. Okay, I'm gonna turn the I can hear myself back on my computer screen. Okay, check it out. So we know that the Game Boy at least powers on now after playing with the power switch a little bit. There's no sound, and with these, when I'm testing them at stores and stuff, it could be several things. But usually what you want to do is, if you have the opportunity to throw a game in, the speaker's not always the issue. Sometimes what it is the actual speaker volume control dial. So if you put a game in and you know it's playing music and you just kind of slowly spin the dial and put your ear close to the speaker, if you hear any noise at all, that usually means the volume control dial. So I don't know if you guys can hear that, probably not, but there is actually a little bit of sound coming out. I'll put the speaker close just in case. But yeah, so I can actually hear sound. It is quiet, but I hear something. So I'll show you what I do in that case. My colors have 6 screws on the back. This is kind of fun. Usually I'm just doing this by my lonesome, playing music and just kind of chilling out, but having you guys experience this too is pretty cool. Alright, so again, 6 screws, tri-wing screwdriver, which is like a specialty Nintendo screwdriver. And you got 6 screws along the back. So I open this up, and I'll show you what I do next. Another tool you want to have handy usually is alcohol. Not for drinking, you know, unless you get stressed out, but for cleaning contacts and things like that. So I have that handy, and that's what I'm going to use in just a sec. It's funny, the Japanese Toys R Us Game Boys are aplenty. They made so many of them here, and you know, a lot of times when you hear something, when you see a new special edition Game Boy, and you're out in the wild, you can usually be like, okay, that was probably a Toys R Us exclusive, unless it has Pikachu or something on it. Then it's usually Pokemon Center. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all these 6 screws. Get that bad boy open. So that's the motherboard. It's pretty simple. You know, there's not too much going on in these things, but they were capable of so much magic back in the day. So in terms of screws and taking it apart, there's 3 more screws along the motherboard. One, 2, 3. Every so often I have to change capacitors and things, You've only really got the three major ones. 1, 2, 3 here. And those all, if you have issues where there's no matter what you do, you're not getting power or sound, a lot of times changing those can fix the issue. So with the ribbon cable, I often leave this out in my videos. I forget to mention it, but there's two little tabs here. And you have to be careful not to pull too hard because they will pop out. If you pull them too hard, then you can't put them back in most of the time. And then again, I don't know if this is, I would recommend this necessarily, but usually what I do is just get a screwdriver and just kind of lightly prop that up. That's all you have to do. Now the whole motherboard will come out. So, volume control is here, this dial. Usually I do this over the edge of the table, but since you guys are watching, I'll just be careful and spray some alcohol just like this. So there's a couple of methods to do this, but usually what I do is I just kind of pull the volume dial out a little bit, and then I just spray directly down in there. And I usually have the motherboard facing this way so that the alcohol will just kind of seep in to where I'm trying to clean. And then I just kind of spin the dial around a bunch. Sometimes I'll use tools, or I'll loosen this, or I'll do whatever, but for the sake of just showing you guys and trying to hit up multiple Game Boys today, I'll just do it this way. And that's when the alcohol spray comes in handy. I've got a little spray bottle right there. It's kind of multi-purpose. I use it for a lot of things. Okay, so that's usually pretty good. I sometimes forget to do this too. I forgot to test the button response, so I'm just gonna assume that they need a clean. Usually when it comes to opening Game Boys, you're pretty safe to just clean them no matter what. So it's super simple. You've just got the AV here, starting to select down here, and the cross pad here. And again, for these, I just use these little alcohol swabs. These little sheets of paper that I get. And then sometimes I'll clean these as well, the membranes. Okay, so unfortunately, when it comes to that specific job, you can't test it right away because you have to leave it to dry. So I'm gonna open the window, put it there, put these off to the side, and let's jump to the next Game Boy. Hey, thanks. Yeah, the Midnight Blue. I'm not sure if you heard earlier when I mentioned it, but it's a Japanese exclusive Toys R Us Game Boy color. And there's a lot of Toys R Us exclusive Game Boys here for some reason. It's funny because, before I came here, I wouldn't even have necessarily thought Toys R Us to be like a Japanese company, or a company that's in Japan a lot. But yeah, they made so many special editions back in the day. So any suggestions on what I should move on to next? I've got some Game Boy Advances, colors, and SPs. If you guys want to see one specifically, let me know. Otherwise, I'll probably hit up this orange Game Boy Advance because it's just kind of calling out to me. Plus, I can see it needs some screen repair, which would be kind of interesting to show you guys. Okay, let's do the Advance. Plus, it's the orange. Everybody likes orange, You got the orange Game Boy Advance. You got the orange GameCube. What I'm working on right now. It's just the shell, but I love these things, man. It's such a cool color that it's a shame it didn't come to the West. All right, let's do this Game Boy Advance. So first things first, batteries. Throw them in and see how this thing works. Again, I don't know if anyone's just jumping in, but I'll try and quickly show you. There's just a ton of Game Boys there. These are ones that I'm working. This is kind of typically what my office looks like, just lined with Game Boys. And I sit here working on them. Yeah, today I just thought I'd share some of that with you guys, those who might be interested. Okay, this is kind of neat, man. This I don't know if you guys know the Hanshin Tigers Game Boy GameCube console. There was a special edition in Japan, but These guys had the Hanshin Tigers like Game Boy Advance tag here. I don't think there's any relation. Like it's not a special edition anything, but I thought it was pretty neat. Yeah, let's see. Power's on. Get sound. Let's check the buttons. It's looking promising. Oops. So yeah, most of the time, again, these power switches, I know it looks a little rough, but if you just kind of bring them on and off, back and forth like that for, 30 seconds or so, it'll usually clean off whatever is inside the power switch making it not work. There we go. Dude, let's see if I can get a little closer. So, other than that gigantic burn on the screen. Sounds good, all the buttons work. Too bad we can't really see what's going on, but we can fix that. Okay, cool. Alright. So, Game Boy Advance has, like the Game Boy Colors, it has 6 screws on the back. And then it actually has one Phillips screwdriver, or one Phillips screw in the battery compartment. Sometimes these get a little stiff, but when it comes to unscrewing these, you can usually tell if they've ever been opened in the past when you're unscrewing them, because it'll basically click. Like you can tell it kind of cracks a little bit when you first spin it. And if it's ever been opened before, it usually doesn't do that. It's usually a lot looser. And it's always important too, because these screws can strip because they're so old, that you got to make sure when you first start spinning it, you want to add pressure. So usually I'm pushing towards the screwdriver with this hand, and then I'm pushing into the Game Boy with this hand, and you spin it at the same time. I don't know if you can hear that. I'll get it with this last one too, but there's actually a audible cracking sound when you first spin the screw, and that's how you usually know that it's never been opened. There, that sound right there. Okay. And there's the Phillips screw. It's a little black screw right in the middle of the battery compartment. Makes it unique to the Game Boy Advance. Okay, cool. Building a little collection of screws here. Okay, there we go. So once you get this open, there's a couple of screws here. 1, 2, and then these buttons all have to come out too. The LR button and the little side panel. And then, like the Game Boy Color, you've got the 2 tabs. Pull those up. And then 2 screws. Excuse me, 2 screws to get rid of as well on the motherboard. 1 and 2. Now these power switches can get lost, so you want to make sure to keep those aside as well. This one sometimes gives me some issues, so I'll use that to get it off. Power switch, put that aside, and there you have it. Alright, so when you're taking the screen out, you want to just kind of bend it diagonally like this, and eventually you'll see the screen pops out a little bit. And then yeah, what I'll do is carefully take one of these and just kind of slowly bring it out. Game Boy Advance has also had a little rubber thing here on the screen to kind of hold it in place. You know, the screen was a bit bigger, and that was a way to make sure it didn't move around in the console, I guess. Add some extra protection as well. All right. The shell aside. Okay, so when I first came here and I first started getting into this hobby, I used to just throw these out because I thought they were completely broken. I thought, like, how could you possibly fix this? And I I regret that because I did that so many times. I probably threw out, like, I don't know, 30 Game Boys, or 30 Game Boy screens before I realized that they were repurposable. So what you do, what I do, there's everyone has their own little method, but I have a little knife here. I'll show you. So you want to bring it out, and essentially, I get just under there's the screen, but there's a filter on the screen. Any screen, like a smartphone screen, a TV screen, any kind of monitor you can think of, has a filter on it, and it's the filter that's damaged, not the screen itself. So I get a knife, and you go into the corner here, and you find right where the lip is. Make sure you guys. I know it's a little bit unclear, maybe. There we go. And then you just kind of push down. You gotta be very careful with this. And I get it in just enough that I can get my finger in there, my fingernail. Again, you want to be careful with this stuff. Unfortunately, this screen it's pretty stuck on here, actually. So this might be a bigger job. Yeah. So usually the Game Boy Advance is just, the screens just come right out. But this one's giving me a bit of issues. Let me focus on this for just one sec. Oh, this side's coming out better. Okay. Okay, and then you want to be as fast as possible. I found if you stop like part way through, it actually will leave like sticker gunk on the screen. So once you get a good grasp on it, you want to hold it from the sides like this, and then you just want to pull it right off. Oh, this one's being stuck on there. Oh boy. Hey, that wasn't too bad though. All right, so that first little corner I was working on. Hopefully you can see it. Oh man, here, let me move this over a little bit. There we go. So most of the screen came off, most of the filter came off, but on the top right corner here, there's just a little bit left on. So see if I can easily peel that off. Game Boy Advances are usually pretty good. Yeah, dude. Sick. Okay, all right. So I'll fix this filter, or I'll change the filter. And this might be the only one I have time to do today, depending on how long this takes. So I've got my new filters here. I bought these from AliExpress, but you can get them from anywhere, eBay and stuff will do the job. These are specifically for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance SP. So what I usually do is my method is I line it up on the screen like this. Make sure that, because the screen has this little black border on the side here. And basically I try to match the filter up with that border. Something like that. And then I get my trusty scissors. And you just kind of try to line it up. So I want to cut it, so you guys can see, I want to cut it about here. So there's a little bit of kind of measuring my eye. This. Got a little bit of a cut to make sure I got it. Okay, that's in the right spot. You want to try and cut it straight across. The joys of fixing Game Boys. I think there's some, people romanticize it a little bit, but it's just what I do. You just sit here doing all this monotonous stuff. But if you have a mind for it and if you enjoy this stuff, it's actually really fun. There we go. Let's try to line that up. And then these filters that I buy are just a little bit too long, so I want to cut it widthwise as well. Make sure it's pretty much lined up. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. I'm gonna cut just a little tiny bit more actually. Just a little sliver. Yeah, more on the hull itself. So I live in Japan. I live close to Tokyo, and I usually spend a day or two a week going into Akihabara, just to see what they've got. And I ran by some stores yesterday. There's this location inside of Akihabara that's been sort of nicknamed Junk Street, because I just have a bunch of video game stores and hardware stores and tech stores that sell just, broken goods, and that includes Game Boys and stuff. So I was walking around there yesterday. I went to a store once and I bought one Game Boy Color. I think it was this one. Yeah, it was this Game Boy Color. The Atomic Purple, which I think is a lot of people's childhood favorite. And I threw out the price tag, but it was 4,000 yen, so that's like 35 American dollars or so. And in today's market, that's a really good price. And it was untested, so again, we'll run through some of these, but even broken, that's a good price. Like I find even broken ones at stores like Hard Off and Book Off now go for like 4,000 to 5,000 yen, which is plus tax of 45,000 yen, 44,000 yen or 55,000 yen. They go for a lot now. So being right downtown in Akihabara and finding Game Boys for that cheap was a bit of a miracle find. Shoot, I got some alcohol on that by accident. And then I went back to the store about an hour later, just on a whim, and they threw out they had like 7 or 8 Game Boys in the bin, in the garbage bin. Not garbage bin, the junk bin. So you have to buy them, but to find that many Game Boys was pretty sweet. And again, they had that Toys R Us Game Boy Color there, and that was also like 44,000 yen, so $35. It's an amazing find. Jeez, I got alcohol on this from earlier. I sprayed that Game Boy Color. Okay, so now we've got the filter cut down to size. I'm just taking a look at the screen and once again making sure that there aren't any, there's no residue on it. Because if you have any bits of dust or anything, it'll show up once the filter's on. Now this part always gives me a headache. And if anybody out there does this sort of stuff and wants to provide me any suggestions, please let me know. But I have a hard time putting these filters on. I would say one out of every, about half of them that I try to put on actually give me issues. Dirt will get caught in it somehow magically, and then I have to put a new filter on. So you might see me attempt this multiple times. From what I can see, that looks good. There's no residue on it. Okay, let's try. Hey, you know what? That actually wasn't too bad. Maybe. Oh man, see? I'll show you what I mean. There we go. Well, let me show me what I mean first, if I can, if I can get a good visual on these. Yeah, so you've got, I don't know if these are air pockets or not. I'll have to check. Move it up closer for you guys. But there is little tiny specks. What about there? And other than that, they're kind of hard to make out on screen. But yeah, there's at least a few. And sometimes those are just little air bubbles. So I'm going to push down on this. And yeah, those are actually going away, so that's good. Yeah, you know what? That was a success. Thanks to you guys, because you're all watching. I made sure to do it properly. Right on, okay. Good, good. So you want to push that down. You want to make sure that they don't, the corners aren't coming up or anything. It has an adhesive, so it's usually pretty good. But, just want to make sure. Add some extra pressure just in case. There we go. Bada boom, bada bing. And then there's another little layer on it that you just want to peel off. But before I do, again, these buttons were all responsive, but I'll give them a quick clean. You guys might see an entire, that's one Game Boy from start to finish, totally fixed on stream. Heck yeah, dude. Sometimes I'm sitting here for hours scratching my head over these things. Trying to reapply the filter over and over again or something like that. Just the simplest things can sometimes you get caught up on them. All right, so peel this off. It's just a little thin, it's almost like a screen protector. And when you buy these filters, it'll most likely have this too. So for perfect image quality, you want to take that off. Throw the screen in. That'll be nice and clean. Okay, now that we've got the membranes laid down, we've got the screen in, then you want to put in the motherboard this way. Make sure the ribbon cable is above the port that it has to fit into later. And the speaker, there's a little notch on the speaker on these Game Boys. This little notch right here. And there's a notch that fits it on the shell itself. There we go. So you want to make sure that notch fits in properly. There we go. Sometimes I'll use some pliers or whatever, tweezers, to fit that back in. Right on. Then there's the two Phillips head screws that fit into the motherboard. There you have it. Power switch. Okay, there you go. Last but not least, we've got the the little sides here. And the shoulder buttons. Okay, and once you've got all those in, you can close the case. So funny, this is what I usually do when I'm making videos about repairs. I'll show all this stuff, but then in editing I cut out all the dead air and I put music and I put in sound effects and stuff and I make it sound all fun and exciting. But hey man, this is the reality. You just honestly just sitting here taking your time with these things. But the end result is always a lot of fun, and it's always worth it. those 6 screws back in. Actually, and you know what? Usually before I do, I'll actually test it again, just to make sure I did everything okay. Hell yeah, dude. Ah, awesome. Okay, let's get Donkey Kong back out here. I gotta get revenge on the madman, the mad ape. He killed me last time because I couldn't see what I was doing with that burnt-in screen. Not this time. Oh, now I'll be like doubly embarrassed if I fail. You guys are gonna hear me smack talking, and then he's gonna kick my ass regardless. All right. Hey, we can actually see what's on the screen now. Nice. There he is. This is the Japanese version of the game, but it doesn't even matter because there's no Japanese in the game. So even if you don't understand the language, you can still play. Doot, doot, doot. All right. Doot, 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 doot. I loved this game as a kid, man. I remember I played the first 3 levels, and the first 3 levels are just the same as the original arcade Donkey Kong, and I thought for sure that the entire game was going to be like that, and I just kind of wrote it off. And then I decided to just play through them anyway on like a boring afternoon one day. And then once you beat those 3 levels, it unlocks this entire campaign mode. And man, this became one of my favorite Game Boy games after that. I'm actually playing through it on Nintendo Switch Online right now. All right, well, hey, there you go. Everything works. It's cool because he has a lot of his moveset from Mario 64 in this, which is like pretty incredible for the time. Anyway, there you have it. And it's the nice Spice Orange Game Boy Advance too. Oh, the Lazy Apple. Hey, how's it going? I appreciate the support, man. Thanks for tuning in. There we go. And I think enough time has gone by on that Midnight Blue now, actually. It's been sitting by the window and there's a nice breeze today. So I think it's probably aired out enough. The speaker was still a little more quiet than what I'd like, so even though I probably fixed the issue of the volume dial, the speaker might still need to be replaced. But it's good to fix that dial issue either way, because even if I did change the speaker initially, then I would still have had to fix the dial anyway. So, yep, there's the little Phillips screw hiding in there. There we go. That one's good to go. It was, again, 4,000 yen, so about 35 bucks. And these are worth a lot more than that, especially in working order. But, yeah, man. Just doing it out of a hobby right now. Let's see what's up with that Midnight Blue. And then I might have to call it quits on this stream after that. It's Saturday here, and I've got some family plans. Okay. Yeah, I basically did, yeah. So for you, this is just watching me on a video call regularly. Like, this is probably not even anything new, Although I don't usually show you this in depth, I don't think, so maybe you'll learn a thing or two. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. It's not my fault. These screws are just jumping all over the place. Mind of their own, man, I tell you. Okay, let's see. One, two. Okay. I heard it, but yeah, I can hear it now, no matter what volume it's at, so that's good. But it's super quiet. I'll try and see if you guys can hear it. Hmm. You know what? I can't even hear it. It's barely audible. Okay, so volume dial is fixed, but it needs a speaker replacement, and unfortunately, I ordered more, but I don't have them yet. So that'll have to come in another episode. Also, I'll show you quickly. I actually have a Panasonic Q that I'm working on right now, and I absolutely love this thing. This is one that I'm documenting as I go. I was gonna make a YouTube short about it, and I might still do that. But this is like a really cool way of playing GameCube games. That if anyone doesn't know the history out there, I'll just tell you quickly. It's essentially a GameCube that could also play DVDs, and it was named the Panasonic Q. These four controller ports here actually light up when you turn it on. So it was just a really stylish looking GameCube. And yeah, so the front of it was like a mirror, as you can see there. There's all these ports on the back for audio, and there's actually like optical and all that sort of stuff. It was pretty crazy. The power outlet is unlike the original Game Boy that had like a separate power box attached to the power cord. All of it's actually inside this, so it just uses a standard, like, one of those cables right there, just a standard power cable. Anyway, it's in parts right now. Um, this is actually the top of what it looks like. It had a little LED screen, and that all lights up as well. And there's all the DVD controls. So yeah, as you can see, it's all in parts. I've just been kind of slowly going through it. And I've ordered all the parts that I need. So once they're here, I'll probably finish with that, and I might even stream it. If you guys want to see that, let me know. But yeah, I think that's it for now, guys. I got a lot of work ahead of me, but again, I got some plans today, so I can't show it all today, unfortunately. But thanks for watching, and let me know if you'd like to see more streams like this. All right, take care, guys.